The receipt lay on the table like a quiet accusation. 0. Not a single coin. Just an empty line where home usually lived. For Marisol Hayes, standing in the middle of a crowded roadside diner, surrounded by the clink of plates and the familiar smell of burnt coffee, that blank space felt heavier than the entire shift she'd just worked. She took a slow breath, steadying herself. Because this wasn't just about money. It was another reminder that life rarely shows mercy to people who are already stretched thin. Before we go any deeper into Marisol's story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing the right thing, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner of MotivHeart Tales. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Marisol was 27 years old. A single mother doing everything she could to keep a fragile life from falling apart. She worked double shifts at a classic roadside diner just outside Cedar Ridge, a small town that lived somewhere between forgotten and overlooked. Her mornings began before sunrise, packing snacks and coloring books for her 4-year-old daughter, Ella, who spent the day with a kind neighbor while Marisol poured coffee for strangers who rarely learned her name. She wore exhaustion like a second uniform, stitched invisibly into her apron. That afternoon felt endless. The lunch rush blurred into late afternoon, and then, he walked in. He didn't announce himself. He didn't demand attention. But something about his presence quietly shifted the room. He wore a tailored coat, carried himself with calm authority, and spoke politely, but sparingly. His name, printed later on the credit card slip, was Grant Hollowell. A name Marisol didn't recognize, though much of the world did. A billionaire, though she wouldn't learn that until much later. Marisol treated him the same way she treated everyone else. She refilled his coffee before he asked. Brought his meal exactly as ordered. Checked in one extra time, because something in his distant gaze made her feel like he might need it. He nodded. Thanked her softly. Ate in silence. When he finished, he placed his utensils neatly together, slid out of the booth, and left without another word. When Marisol returned to clear the table, she saw the receipt. Total tip, $0. Her chest tightened, not with anger, but with that familiar sinking feeling. She thought about the grocery list taped to her fridge. The school supplies Ella needed. The rent due in 10 days. She swallowed hard, reminding herself that kindness wasn't supposed to be transactional. As she wiped the table, something stopped her. The plate didn't move. It caught on something underneath. She lifted it again, slower this time, and saw a folded piece of paper tucked beneath the edge. Her name was written on it. Just her first name. No explanation. Her heart raced, not with fear, but with a curiosity that felt almost sacred. She waited until the rush died down before opening it, hands trembling just enough to notice. Inside was a simple note. It spoke of observation. Of noticing the child's drawing tucked into her apron pocket. Of how she spoke gently to every customer. Of how she worked with dignity, even when the day was unkind. The final line made her sit down in the booth, breath caught in her throat. This is not a tip. It's an opportunity. Behind the note was a business card, and a folded check. The number made her vision blur. Not because it was extravagant. But because it was exactly what she needed. Enough for rent. Childcare. And just enough extra to breathe again. That night, Marisol held Ella a little longer than usual, listening to her chatter about the shapes she'd learned that day. Feeling something unfamiliar bloom in her chest. Possibility. The next morning, after drop-off, Marisol sat in her car for nearly 20 minutes before dialing the number. When someone answered, they didn't rush her. They listened. Weeks passed. Then months. Marisol didn't quit her job right away. She learned that Grant Hollowell ran a foundation focused on small-town businesses and overlooked talent. He believed dignity came from work, not handouts. The note hadn't been a test of obedience. It was a test of attention. Would she notice what others missed? She did. Through mentorship, training, and resources she never imagined having access to, Marisol discovered she had a natural gift for leadership and organization. The diner owner noticed too, offering her more responsibility. Eventually, with guidance and a modest grant, Marisol helped transform the diner into a community hub, hiring other parents juggling work and family. Years later, Marisol stood in that same diner, now brighter, warmer, and filled with laughter. Ella sat at the counter doing homework. Safe. Confident. Grant still visited once a year. Always the same booth. Always no tip. Just a note. Each one reminding Marisol that the world doesn't always change loudly. Sometimes it changes quietly. Under a plate. Waiting for someone who's paying attention. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe to Kindness Corner of MotivHeart Tales. Before you go, comment one word that describes how this story made you feel, and tell us where you're watching from. Because sometimes, what looks like nothing changes everything.